Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Spain to Go podcast, episode 1. It's a beautiful day here in Barcelona, Spain. It's a bit hot. It's August 2020, and unless you've been hiding in a cave in Siberia for the last 6 months or so, you know it's been a very interesting year, both here in Spain and elsewhere. We're going to have a lot to talk about here. So first off, why make a podcast about Spain? Well, I've been living here for most of my adult life, and I really love the country. I love the food, the architecture, the landscapes, the cities, the towns, basically everything about it, with just a few exceptions. And on my blog, I get a lot of feedback saying that what I write helps people with their move to Spain or inspires them in some way. So I want to continue helping people in whatever way I can to live their best Spanish lives, if that expression can be used. Of course, I moved all the way over here without knowing anything about the country. The internet barely existed at the time, so we didn't have as many options to find out relevant information. I just got on a plane and came. And you can do that too. You will definitely have an interesting experience. When I arrived, I didn't even know the basic stuff that everyone knows, like bulls and flamenco and sangria and beautiful beaches and things like that. Honestly, I moved all the way over here having seen 3 or 4 films by Pedro Almodóvar, and those were just so ridiculous that I can't say I got much insight into Spanish culture. So, I'm hoping to give a little bit more information. That brings us to the burning question on everyone's mind. Who the hell is this Daniel guy? Well, thanks for asking. I'm actually just some guy who moved abroad at a very young age. I grew up in the middle of the desert in Arizona. My dad insists that I call it Scottsdale, but really it was just the middle of the desert. We didn't even have a supermarket nearby. For most of my childhood, everything was 10 miles away across the sagebrush with the giant cacti and such. It was pretty boring. So as soon as I could, I got out of there. I moved to Spain when I was 21 to be with some girl I'd met twice. That didn't work out very well for obvious reasons, but I ended up staying in Madrid where she was living, and I ended up loving Madrid. I was there for about 13 years. These days, I'm in Barcelona, which isn't bad either. It's actually grown on me a lot this year of 2020, now that we're post-lockdown, and we have the city almost empty, just the locals without tourists. Of course, that's a topic for another day. It's going to be a lot to talk about there. In the meantime, I've spent my life here in Spain working as an English teacher, as many people do, and also as a writer. I've done some pieces for Lonely Planet on the Madrid versus Barcelona issue, about old school Spanish food, and much more. Most of what I do these days involves teaching English online, for which I also have a podcast that's pretty successful, if I may say so. That's called Aprende Más Inglés. You can find that at aprendemasingles.com if you'd like. My media empire extends to a few other things, like YouTube. I've got a blog called the Chorizo Chronicles, which is about Spain, and more things. Anyway, since you're listening, I might as well tell you what you can expect from the Spain to Go podcast. Basically, I'm just hoping to make this podcast an interesting and informative look at life in Spain, especially life as an outsider, foreigner, expat, whatever you want to call it. I'm obviously not Spanish, and when people tell me, oh, you've been here for 15 years, you're Spanish now, I strongly disagree. I'm most certainly not Spanish, and I don't foresee ever feeling Spanish, whatever that's supposed to feel like. So, still an expat, and I'm going to be talking about life from the outsider perspective. I'll be talking about some of my favorite places, things to do, food, culture, and whatever pops up, really. I'm not very political, but I'm sure we'll have some interesting times ahead with the Spanish government and the future situation here. So I guess I might talk about that at some point, and I'm probably going to do some interviews with interesting people who I meet here and there. Generally, I'm just hoping to have some fun and make something interesting. So if you've got any comments or anything you'd like me to talk about, just drop me a line. I'm very easy to find. Daniel Welsh on most social media platforms. It only works if you spell my last name correctly. Daniel, the standard way. Welsh, Welsch. You can check me out on Instagram, leave a comment on the blog at expatmadrid.com. And thanks for listening. Talk soon. Bye.